Okay, just a moment. Need to change something here. Yeah, okay, we can go. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Devada Gopijana Vallabha Devada Yashodanandana Bhajajana Randana Yashodanandana Bhajajana Randana Yamunatira Anachari Yamunatira Anachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Punya Bihari. Hare Krishna. Today we will discuss Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 8 to 10. Chapter 1, Questions by the Sages. I will share the screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat. Nastavesya Bhadrasu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavatu Tamasuke Bhakti Bhavdanastaki. Text 8. Vedatvam samyatat sarvam Tatvatastat anugrahat Bhuyoshnigdasya sisyasya Gauravo Goyam Apyuta. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And because you are submissive, your spiritual master have endowed you with all the favors bestowed upon a gentle disciple. Therefore you can tell us all that you have scientifically learned from them. Purport. The secret of success in spiritual life is satisfying the spiritual master and thereby getting his sincere blessings. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has sung in his famous 8 stanzas on the spiritual master as follows. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Only by satisfaction can one please the personality of Godhead. And when he is dissatisfied, there is only havoc on the path of spiritual realization. It is essential, therefore, that a disciple be very obedient and submissive to the bona fide spiritual master. Srila Sutta Goswami fulfilled all these qualifications as a disciple, and therefore he was endowed with all favors by his learned and self-realized spiritual masters such as Srila Vyasadeva and others. The sages of Namisaranya were confident that Srila Sutta Goswami was bona fide, therefore they were anxious to hear from him. Om Ajnanatimandasya Jnansana Slakya Sakshanvetam Yena Tasmai Sigurave Nama Chitchitayamanopistam Staptam Yena Bhutalisvama Prakadamayam Dadati Svapalantikam Vandeyam Shiu Shiudapadakamalam Shium Vaishnavamsa Shirupam Jagasanatam Saganaragnatam Pitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parisana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chat Bhakti Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanashve Vishabhana Sutadevi Panamama Hripi Vaha Kalpta Vishakri Pasinabhe Vishapatnam Pavanbhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Nama Raya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavin Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namini Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Srinyavadi Paskachai Desatarni. Namo Srila Prabhupada Ki So in the previous verse, it was said that Sutta Goswami, he was fully versed in all kinds of physical and metaphysical knowledge. So how is it possible for Sutta Goswami to know so much that we hear in text 5? So this is important for us to see what is the key for opening the door to higher levels of realization. How can I get these higher levels of realization? So the key, as Lord Chaitanya said, is Trinata Pisnitsana Taura Visaisnana Amanana Manadana Kirtanya Sada Hari. Because if you are not humble, you cannot learn anything. There is this story of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. There came one Digvijay. These are Digvijayas, those who are expert in Nyaya logic, and they go everywhere to defeat everyone with their knowledge, to debate that. And then when they defeated someone, they would ask the person to sign a paper that they have been defeated. So one Digvijay came to, who had conquered everyone in all directions with his debate, came to Rupa and Sanatana Goswami to debate them. And Sanatana Goswami said, "What do you want?" And the Digvijay said, sign a paper that I defeated you. Sanatana Goswami said, "No problem, I signed the paper," and the man went away. Of course, that Jiva Goswami was a disciple of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. And Jiva Goswami became upset, and he went to the Digvijay and he challenged them, and he defeated him. But then Sanatana Goswami became very upset with, with Rupa Goswami. So if you approach a guru like Sanatana Goswami in a challenging mood, you don't get any knowledge. So we think we get knowledge just by studying and on my own effort, but it doesn't work for transcendental knowledge. At least the Digvijay got the autograph of Sanatana Goswami, but that's all he got. And because if he would get the knowledge, he was not going to use it in a proper way. So in this verse, now in verse 9, they will ask their first question. That we have 3 verses today, this is second. Tatra tatyanjaya yusmam bhavatayat finishitam pumsaikanta sheyas tanna samsitum arase. Please therefore, being blessed with many years, explain to us in an easily understandable way what you have ascertained to be the absolute and ultimate good for all the people in general. Is asking for the Shreya, the ultimate good of all, for all people. And that purport. In Bhagavad Gita, worship the Acharya is recommended. The Acharyas and Goswamis are always absorbed in thought of the well-being of the general public, especially their spiritual well-being. Spiritual well-being is automatically followed by material well-being. The Acharyas therefore gives directions in spiritual well-being for people in general, foreseeing the incompetencies of the people in this age of Kali, the iron age of quarrel. The sages requested that Sutta Goswami give a summary of all revealed scriptures, because the people of this age are condemned in every respect. The sages therefore inquired of the absolute good, which is the ultimate good for the people. The condemned state of affairs of the people of this age is described as follows, and that's the next verse. But before we go there, so the sages are asking their first question here. That here you have the Sanskrit word Ayushman. They are blessed with a long duration of life. Ayushman. Interesting. Ayushman. Blessed with a long duration of life. Sutta Goswami had received this blessing. So how did he got this blessing? Because his father, Ramaharsana Sutta, who had been killed by Balaram, had received also this benediction of Ayushman, but Balaram killed him. And the sages got upset with Balaram and said, we gave him this benediction of Ayushman, and you killed him. Balaram said, no problem, I will bring him back to life. But the sages said, no, we don't want to nullify what you did, but just make sure that the benediction is still there. And then Balaram said, the son is the representative of the father, so he transferred the benediction to Sutta Goswami. So that's how we got this Ayushman, benediction for a long life. The sages were in knowledge. Actually, they could see the future. They could see the problems that Kali Yuga was going to bring. The degradation due to the influence of the lower modes, and they wanted to do something about it. So real compassion as an active element, really wanting to do something about it. So many may be able to see the future, but what can they do about it to stop it? But the Mahatmas, the great devotees, they have the qualification to do something about it. They can do something to change the future, change and counteract the influence of Kali Yuga. So those who are in knowledge, the Brahmins, the Vaishyas, they have a responsibility to change the direction of society. So they asked, Ekantata, tell us just one thing. Because in this age, no one can remember many things. So don't tell us the step by step. Tell us really what's the Shreya, what's the ultimate good for the people. And they also said it should be easy. Anjasi make it easy, because people in this age cannot do it otherwise. Because no one is qualified in this age. So it's a problem. People cannot penetrate through the Vedas and come to Bhakti. So because this history is hidden in the Vedas. So it's difficult to find the truth just by argument or logic. By argument, you will not be able to find the truth. If you study all the Vedas, it's very difficult to find the truth. There are so many different scriptures, and there are so many philosophers. How can we find the truth? Where do we find the truth? In the heart of a pure devotee. That is where we find the truth. Only they know Krishna. That is where Krishna is. Therefore, Majjena Kata Sapanta, from the Mahabharata, the answer of the question of the Yaksha to Maharaj Pariksit, who said, Majjena Kata Sapanta, one should follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans. The complete verse from Mahabharata is Tarkopatishta Shurtayo Vibhina Navafrishiryasya Matam Nabinam Dharmasya Tattvam Niritam Kuyainam Majanoyena Kata Sapanta. So dry arguments are inconclusive. A great personality whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. Simply by studying the Vedas, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self-realized person. Consequently, as the Shastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajans advocate. This is from the Mahabharata, Vana Parva 313, text 117. And that's quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, a verse spoken by Yudhishthira Maharaj. So in the early 1970s, with Srila Prabhupada was in India, and there was a young girl, her name was Sarasvati. Sarasvati was the daughter of Malati. And Sarasvati had a little deity of Krishna, and she had the deity always with her. And she was very attached to the deity. When Sarasvati was out of the room, Srila Prabhupada took the deity and put it behind his back. When Sarasvati came back, then she was looking, where is my Krishna? And she was in anxiety. So then they pointed to Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada was trying to prove what does it mean separation from Krishna. So she called out, where is my Krishna? Where is my Krishna? Then Mother Malati, her mother, said to her, "Who has Krishna?" Then Saraswati said, "Prabhupada has Krishna." And she went before Srila Prabhupada and said, "Give me Krishna." So it's a fact. Prabhupada has Krishna. That was Prabhupada's blessing. He's giving us Krishna in many forms. That sages are only asking for the best thing, not for the second thing, the third best. No, the best thing. That, yes. Yeah. So I was just now finally Sutta Goswami will speak this verse from text 10 that which discusses the disqualifications of the people in Kali Yuga, so many times quoted by Srila Prabhupada. Prayanalpayusa sabya kalvasmin chuhechana manasmana mateo mandabhagyu paduta. A learned one in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above always disturbed. Purport. The devotees of the Lord are always anxious for the spiritual improvement of the general public. When the sages of Namisaranya analyzed the state of affairs of the people in this age of Kali, they foresaw that men would live short lives. In Kali Yuga, the duration of life is shortened to so much because of insufficient food, because of irregular habits. By keeping regular habits and eating simple food, one can maintain his health. Overeating, over sense gratification, over dependence on another's mercy are artificial standards of living sap the very vitality of human energy. Therefore, the duration of life is shortened. The people of this age are also very lazy, not only materially, but in a matter of self-realization. The human life is especially meant for self-realization. That is to say, man should come to know what he is, what the world is, and what supreme truth is. Human life is a means by which a living entity can end all the miseries of the hard struggle for life in material existence, and by which he can return to Godhead, his eternal home. But due to a bad system of education, men have no desire for self-realization. Even if they come to know about it, they unfortunately become victims of misguided teachers. In this age, men are victims not only of different political creeds and parties, but also of many different types of sense gratificatory diversions such as cinema, sports, gambling, clubs, mundane libraries, bad associations, smoking, drinking, cheating, pilfering, bickerings, and so on. Their minds are always disturbed and full of anxieties due to so many different engagements. In this age, many unscrupulous men manufacture their own religious faiths, which are not based on any revealed scriptures. And very often people who are addicted to sense gratification are attracted by such institutions. Consequently, in the name of religion, so many sinful acts are being carried on that the people in general have neither peace of mind nor a healthy health of body. The student, the brahmachari communities are no longer being maintained, and householders do not observe the rules and regulations of the Grihastha ashram. Consequently, the so-called vanaprastha and sannyasis who come out of such Grihastha ashrams are easily deviated from the rigid path. In the Kali Yuga, the whole atmosphere is surcharged with faithlessness. Men are no longer interested in spiritual values. Material sense gratification is now the standard of civilization. For the maintenance of such material civilizations, man has formed complex nations and communities, and there is a constant strain of hot and cold wars between these different groups, it has become very difficult, therefore, to raise the spiritual standard due to the present distorted values of human society. The sages of Namaskar are anxious to disentangle all fallen souls, and they are seeking the remedy from Srila Sutta Goswami. So these are the disqualification of the people living in this age. Short lives. That Srila Prabhupada writes, it is not because of insufficient food, because of irregular habits. Interesting. Overeating, over-sense gratification, over-dependence on others' mercy, and artificial standards of living sap the very vitality of human energy. Therefore, the duration of life is shortened. So if you work the whole day on the computer, then you feel that it takes the energy away from you. It's artificial living. One feels always tired. The sages are asking for the benefit of us, fallen conditioned souls. They are always fighting, wars are going on, manda, lazy, slow in spiritual life, but they work hard for material life. There are so many bogus philosophies in Kali Yuga. They say, I'm all right, you are all right. But people do not care to inquire about who am I and what's the goal of life. And if they meet someone who asks the questions about that, they think this person is not normal. There's something wrong with this person. They are so bewildered. When they have some interest, then, even if they have some interest, then Sumanda Matayo, they are misguided. So many cheaters come to cheat one after another. That Lord Chaitanya, he made it so easy. He just chant. Then Srila Prabhupada said, even the dog can take part in the chanting, he said. So, when I remember when I went on parikram, I did that 3 times, a complete 30 days parikram in Vrindavan. And many times, also in Mayapur on parikram, dogs would follow us. And there was a dog, I've seen it many times, they leap they are walking in the middle of all the other devotees. And the other dogs, they bark to that dog. But the dog takes shelter between the devotees. And then when they come somewhere, the dog is lying, like he's hearing to the lecture, and then he takes prasad with the devotees. And we know also that in Chaitanya Charitamrita Lila, there is a dog who went with the devotees from Bengal to Orissa. So that is dogs, but we have no attraction. That's the problem. In previous age, everyone, they were hearing something and they could remember it. Once hearing, they could remember it. They were shrutidar. So one in a mode of pure goodness, in goodness, he remembers that. So there was that story before the British court in India. And 2 British men who had been fighting with each other, they come before the judge. And the judge was asking, yes, is there a witness? And they said, yes, there is it appeared there was a witness. But the witness spoke only Bengali, he did not understand English. So the judge was saying, yeah, you don't understand English, so what was the use of your witness? And the man said, yes, but I remember everything they said. And said, this person said that, and he said the sentence in English, and this person answers and said a sentence in English, and he reconstructed the whole conversation without understanding one word. Dat is goed daar. But today, now, our memory, it's all gone. And if someone has money, that in Kali Yuga, they say if someone has money, it must be a cultured person. So when Srila Prabhupada, he was staying at John Lennon's house in 1969. Yeah, Eton Horst or something. And in the living room there was a picture of John Lennon and his wife completely naked. And Srila Prabhupada said, just see, the culture is so low class. And reporters are coming to him to ask him so many important questions. This simply because he has money. He is considered high class. So justice will be on the basis of one's power. If you have money, you will get justice. That these predictions, they are all in the 12th canto. So it's all in there. Business will depend on the seed. A man will be known as a Brahmin just by wearing a thread. So that's the state of affairs in Kali Yuga. So a person's spiritual position will be determined by his dress. If you want saffron, if you wear saffron and you had matted locks, you will get great respect in India. Easy yogi, a great yogi. And marriage will be arranged just by verbal agreement. It's even worse than the Srimad Bhagavatam says. A place of pilgrimage will consist of no more than a reservoir of water. People are not interested in speaking with sages. Srila Prabhupada said people are going to Hardwar to bath in the Ganga. But the Ganga flows also in Calcutta. They go up to Rishikesh and Hardwar, up there for the summer. The ritual is you go to a holy place, you have a bath, and you have your picture taken, and then you go to eat in one of the places. That's the point. On pilgrimage, you are supposed to inquire from sadhus. Long hair in Kali Yuga is very beautiful, but and filling your belly is the goal of life. So therefore, understanding the condition of the people of Kali Yuga, they are asking for the essence of the scriptures. And the essence will be given in the next chapter, 126, Savaipam Saparodharmo Yato Bhaktir Ato Adoksai, that Savaipam Saparodharmo Yato Bhaktir Adoksai, Ahait Kaptiata Yatma Subhasidate. The Parodharmo, the highest religion or the highest activity for the spirit soul is engagement in devotion, service. So we will hear this in the next verses, that in the next verses the sages will give a hint about the essence of the scripture. They will give a hint that the chanting of the holy name, that and serving the devotees. So we are doing that. We are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the Association of Devotees, and Sutta Goswami will explain that bhakti is the only way to help humanity. In his vision, he saw the suffering of living entities, and he knew that the only solution is bhakti. That in 1973 in London, Srila Prabhupada said, "It's very difficult to uplift the people in this age." And he quoted this verse 1:10, Manasamanta Matayo, the people don't understand. Only a very fortunate person will understand. I'm eternal. That they will, the fortunate person will understand that I'm eternal. But they are simply living for sense gratification. And Srila Prabhupada warned that even in our ISKCON we see that devotees have a hard time to get up in the morning. It's so unfortunate, condemned. Therefore, the Guru Maharaj of my Guru Maharaj, Gaurikishore Das Babaji, he did not preach. He was disgusted. He said, I've no power to reform them. But my spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he was preaching. He wanted us to do the same, Srila Prabhupada said. He was very merciful. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj was very kind and compassionate. And nobody could go to the West like Prabhupada. In the midst of such degradation, these sages have the same mood, and therefore they are asking, what is the essence of the scriptures? How can we make it easy for the people of Kali Yuga? So, Hare Krishna. These are these verses from the Bhagavatam. Before we discussed already verse 11 in a separate lecture, you may remember that I read verse 11 once again. There are many varieties of scriptures. In all of them, there are many prescribed duties, which can be learned only after many years of study in their various divisions. Therefore, O sage, please select the essence of all scriptures and explain it for the good of all living beings, that by such instructions their heart may become fully satisfied. So what will satisfy really the people? What will satisfy the self, the Atma? Because that's important. By satisfying the body, the soul never can become satisfied. And it's difficult for the people of Kali Yuga to understand this. Therefore, they say, people of Kali Yuga don't have the time to read all these Vedas. Give us the essence. This is an urgency. What do they have to do? They have a short life. No time for seeking for the absolute truth. Tell us what's the absolute truth, and how can we get to that? How can we get free from this suffering in this world? So that is asking these questions is a mood of compassion. And Srila Prabhupada had this mood. The most of a ghost Anandi, not a Bhajan Anandi. Bhajan Anandi are those who are satisfied with their own bhajan and want to become self-realized. But the ghost Ananda is concerned with others. And Lord Krishna concludes in Bhagavad Gita, those who preaches this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to my devotees, he becomes very, very dear to me. So he wants us to preach. that despite all opposition, we may have a lot of opposition, and we may have not so much success externally, but the importance is we are not there to satisfy the mass of people. We are there to satisfy Krishna. And that's important in our lives, satisfying Krishna. And despite all this disqualification of Kali Yuga, we have the best process and the only process really that brings us back to Godhead. Because to go back to Godhead, you need this Ananya Bhakti, this love of God. And that can only be realized by the process which is described here as Parodharmo, the highest path of self-realization, which is bhakti. So any questions or comments, please?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Mother Prema Pradhan, please.
Maharaj, in the Bhagavatam, it's mentioned that like in the Kali, because of Kali, we have all these disqualifications like Manda Buddhi, Manda Bhagya, and they mentioned one more thing about cleanliness. So how important is the cleanliness also? So I was wondering why it is so important, the cleanliness. It's written in Bhagavatam. So and then what cleanliness they're talking about?
Yeah. So cleanliness, Srila Prabhupada explained there are two kinds of cleanliness, external and internal. The external cleanliness is that we take a bath every day and more than once a day. And Srila Prabhupada was a bit surprised when he was in New York. The young people were living in rooms in New York, and they had no bathroom. And to take a shower or a weekly bath, they had to go to a friend's house and took a bath there. And Srila Prabhupada said, how is this possible? That's external, but internal cleanliness, that's more important. Important in that internal cleanliness means the cleanliness of the subtle body, the mind. And we have to clean every day the subtle body by the chanting of Hare Krishna, by hearing about Krishna, by good sadhana. So these are two kinds of cleanliness. Because external cleanliness comes from unwanted habits. And these unwanted habits are related to sinful activities. But one does these sinful activities because the subtle body is dirty and must be cleansed. So the chanting is protecting us against that. So there are these levels of cleanliness, internal and external. That Srila Prabhupada has explained that many times. These two levels that people can look. Yeah, and of course you have also the standard of cleanliness. That people even don't wash their hands before eating. They say, look, my hands are clean. But still, No, certainly they are certainly unclean. One has to wash it with soap before eating. But people in this age, you see sometimes people go to the toilet and come back, they don't wash their hands. It's crazy, but it's unclean. But the uncleanliness comes from because their their subtle body is contaminated with lust, anger, greed, and so on, and that covers their consciousness. And cleanliness is next to godliness. It's very important. When Srila Prabhupada was in New York, the first devotees, he showed them how to cook for Krishna. And then every time someone touched something, then Srila Prabhupada said, wash your hands. So he was training them in this cleanliness. Because if we are not clean, then we cannot come in contact with the one who is super clean, Krishna. That is the most pure. If we are impure, we cannot have contact. So, but the external cleanliness is an expression of your internal cleanliness. So these two levels are very important. Does that help, Prema Prada, Mataji?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Something else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much, Maharaj, for nice
Purnachandra.
class. Maharaj, about the point you have mentioned that general public is not interested to know or inquire about spiritual topic. So when we are trying to preach, we more often get such situations. So how to deal? Because one way to deal is, okay, just leave them because they are not interested, and then we move on. Another way is just try to pursue, but then while pursuing, we may be successful, but we may be like they may think about us that we are very pushy, right? So, like, what is the right way if we wanted to preach and we wanted to connect them to Krishna?
Yes, first, the rule in preaching is that we should not instruct those who do not want to be instructed by us. That's not going to work. But a main point in the strategy in our preaching is try to find out what people are interested in. And respond. Then you can respond to their needs and interests and speak on their level. That not everyone is ready for spiritual life or has interest, but you speak on their level. That Srila Prabhupada was walking and saw in America in a village and an old woman, and it said good morning, and she was walking with the dog. They spoke about the dog and all these things that just to make them easy. And then hear from them what are their interests and so on. So it's a slow process mostly. We have to see what they are ready to accept and instruct them on their level what their interest is. Therefore, it's important if we if we organize classes, then sometimes we organize classes for a certain target audience. Like people have interest in vegetarian cooking, not in Krishna, but they want to have a good health and vegetarian cooking. And we say, oh, we have something for you. This is a vegetarian cooking course, or we are inviting you to our lunch club or whatever. And we hear what their interests are. Some are interested in yoga. And you can explain Krishna consciousness on the level of yoga. Some are interested in scientific experiments. The devotees in the 70s, somewhere in America, on a university campus, they made a flyer. We will do an experiment. We will transform material energy into spiritual energy. And many came to the experiment. And and what did they do? They cooked for Krishna and they offered the food. And after that, they distributed the food. So this food is now spiritual, has become spiritualized. Anyway, they liked the food for sure. But we have to see on what level we preach. And yes, for some people it will not work. Because preaching, the success of our preaching does not solely depend on our effort. But in preaching, we must take in account Krishna's point in Bhagavad Gita. Do not preach to those who are not my devotees, who are not austere. So if we do that, you get heavy reactions. What can you expect? So, but the devotee wants to be more merciful. So he finds strategies still to attract people. To attract people to our festivals and so on, and try to give them a book. If you give them a book, then Prabhupada is preaching to them, and he's more powerful than us. So that is, ways of indirect preaching to attract the people from the outside. That there are many ways to get to know their needs and concerns, their interests, and organize programs according to their interest. You can have a group of people, and they are businessmen, but they want to hear something about stress management. So we are organizing a course on stress management and explain based on Bhagavad Gita the cause of stress and then how to get rid of it. It's all there in Bhagavad Gita. So people have the devotees have done that successfully, these stress management courses, and many became devotees. Or Hatha Yoga, then a little variant that get them in, try to understand, explain them the philosophy of yoga, the real philosophy, and gradually the practice of mantra meditation. So there are many ways, but we must build strategy according to the time, place, and circumstances, and to the level of what people are ready to accept. And there is a great need for us to make strategies for that. Prabhupada was always making strategies how to preach. Even 3 days before his passing away, he was discussing with Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj strategies for preaching that pleases Krishna if we make these strategies. Does that help, Punachanapun.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, I was just taking the notes. Uh, the points you gave is very nice, Maharaj. Especially you said that we should give a book to them, and then Srila Prabhupada will teach, and
Yeah,
he is more
that's
powerful than us.
we give books and we give prasadam. These are our secret weapons. That, thank
Yes,
you. Good.
thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. See you next week if
Thanks,
Krishna
Maharaj.
will.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Jai
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.